Welcome to 10 Minutes Today.
Howdy.
I'm Jake, that's Matej, and we're back to the old format because none of y'all wanted to watch the new format.
Yeah.
So don't forget to come back every single Wednesday. We're still here once a week. Like, comment, subscribe, follow us on Twitter.
Pop.
I
have to add those back
Indeed.
in.
I know.
Now I have to time them. It's so much easier when we didn't have them.
So today, we are going to discuss something that has been on my mind lately, Matej.
Great.
And there are 4 words that I want to discuss. 1, 2, 3, 4 words. Yes. So they are Nazi, socialist, communist, and fascist. And they are 4 words. Yes, fascist. Mm-hmm. That people have been throwing around, geared at those on the other side of the political spectrum than them, in any matter that they don't agree with. So if you
sometimes justly.
No, I haven't seen these used justly at all.
Well, I don't hear
once.
people calling people Nazis. I hear them calling them neo-Nazis, which would be pretty accurate for the most part.
No, they're calling them Nazis. They're not calling them neo-Nazis anymore. Not at all. They're the march in Charlottesville. They are Nazis, and they are Nazis. Like, actually, I guess that's justified. Yeah. Like, that was legitimate. But for the most part, these are just thrown around. So this all started. I was watching an older episode of Bill Maher with Bernie Sanders. And feel the burn.
Feel it.
I myself, not a massive Bernie supporter, would never work in the United States, but he's an interesting dude, so I was watching it. Right. One of the people on the panel looked at Bernie and said, well, Bernie, you're a socialist, and used it as if you're a socialist, so it doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. So I started thinking, okay, he's calling him a socialist. What does he mean by that? What does he think he means by that? What does he actually mean by that? Sure. What does the word mean? And then I got into Antifa calling anyone on the right a fascist. Like, Trump is a fascist. No, he's not. He's not even remotely.
We're going to look at some definitions.
Yeah, so I'm going to start with the definition.
Straight.
I'm going to start with the definition of fascist.
Give
it to you?
Give it to me, baby.
So, a fascist, the literal definition, is a political philosophy, movement, or regime, such as that of the fascisti, that exalts nation and often race above the individual, and that stands for a centralized autocratic government headed by a dictatorial leader, severe economic and social regimentation, and forcible suppression of opposition.
Okay.
So for anyone who's called the Republican Party fascist, I just read severe economic and social regimentation by the government. By definition, the Conservative Party is trying not to do that.
Yeah.
So, Matej.
So they're not fascists.
No, they're not fascists. Not even remotely.
Damn it.
Unfortunately. Now, Nazi is another term that's been thrown out there. And this one I love. I actually got called a Nazi recently, which was awesome because I had to come back with, did you mean a communist? Because I'm the farthest thing from a Nazi.
Are you a communist?
No, but I mean, it would be much closer than a Nazi. Like, I'm way over here, and they're like, you're way over there. You're a Nazi. So,
commie scum.
Matej, what is a Nazi?
You tell me.
A Nazi is
somebody that goes like this.
Quite literally, yeah. It's one who espouses the beliefs and policies of the German Nazis. Also, a fascist.
Told you.
So literally, to be a Nazi, you have to support Adolf Hitler. Are there some people who do? Yes.
He was, a side note, a brilliant person.
He's probably one of the one
terrible person. Brilliant person.
I'm going to say he is the 3rd best politician in the world in the 20th century.
Are you sure he's not 2nd and a half or 6th?
No, because above him, I would put... Oh, this is tough.
How can you say he's number 3 if not knowing you're 1 and 2 yet?
Because I'm trying to remember his name. Margaret Thatcher, and then the guy that was Prime Minister of the United Kingdom.
Is Margaret Thatcher a male?
No, female.
I thought you said his name.
No, I can't remember his name. He was Prime Minister when Elizabeth took over. He's the greatest politician ever, and I can see his face, and I can't think of his name. But if I literally Google UK best Prime Minister. It'll come up.
Not him.
Yeah. Winston Churchill. Boom.
Ah, Churchill.
Yeah. Churchill, Thatcher. And the only reason I put Thatcher there is because she made it in a world as a woman when that didn't exist. Back to the topic at hand. He was called a socialist on this show.
Who was?
Bernie Sanders.
Okay, yeah.
So I wanted to know, okay, let's see the definition of a socialist. And it's a political and economic theory. I actually searched socialism because socialist came up with someone who supports socialism.
Okay, yeah, fair enough.
So socialism is a political and economic theory of social organization that advocates the means of production, distribution, and exchange should be owned or regulated by the community as a whole.
Okay.
So not much in the definition of socialism, but it made me laugh because, and this is a sentiment that's often said by people on the left.
Sure.
Do you know what the largest program in the United States is? The most money with the most individuals involved?
Prostitution.
No.
Restitution.
No. Welfare.
I don't know what restitution.
Welfare is.
Okay.
Followed by Medicaid.
Okay.
1 and 2. So the two things that most Americans are involved in and most American money gets spent on are socialist policies. There's nothing wrong with socialism as opposed to communism, very different word, a theory advocating elimination of private property and a system in which goods are owned in common and are available to all as needed.
So to clarify that, it doesn't matter what job you do, everybody gets the same amount of everything.
In theory, that's that's Marxist
That's the idea.
theory. Yes. Of course, it never works out that way.
I don't understand.
It couldn't.
There's no way that would work.
It's an ideal society. Like, communism is the ideal society.
Yeah,
right?
but it doesn't make any sense because who's gonna spend 9 years, 10 years, 12 years of their life going to school to be a doctor if my doctor is gonna make the same much as the guy at McDonald's, serving me a fry? Like,
you wouldn't.
You wouldn't. Doesn't make any sense. But it's a great idea. It is. It really is.
In theory, if it works.
Yeah.
But human like nature is not. It just doesn't work.
Now, is there a difference between like Marxist communism and just like regular?
Like what you actually see in reality?
Yeah.
Yeah. So like Marxism wouldn't have like what the Soviet Union had, right? Where they actually had classes in the Soviet Union. Same with like Cuba has a class system. North Korea has a class system. Marxism does not have that. Like literally your president is able to dictate the rules. However, he has just as much as the guy that trims the grass.
Sure, but so with these classes, I think that makes a little bit more sense in the idea of how everything would work.
That's how it has to work for human nature.
Then what's the difference between that and just
And you should know Marx just wrote about it, right?
Yeah,
that wasn't
well,
an
obviously
actual
there
thing.
was no like society that worked that way. But what would the difference if you're having classes saying, okay, a doctor, if you're a doctor, you make this much. If you're a burger flipper, you make this much because you're in this class. What's the difference between that and just having like wages?
No. So it's more like the upper class doesn't work.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, like in North Korea, the upper class, they don't do anything. They don't do anything. They don't have to because they have all the poor people to do it for them. And they're usually people who are very close to the family. So, Matej, I want to know, why are these words used so sparingly?
I feel like people don't actually understand the meaning of the words and just have a idea as to what it means beforehand, and typically that idea is bad because it is opposite of what they think. So in a way to sort of put down somebody with opposite beliefs, they use these words when really either A, they don't make any sense, or if you were a communist and somebody calls you a communist, it's going to be like, okay, yes, I am. So I don't think the intended effect is even happening. Right. In the sense, like, why else would you label somebody unless you think that that's a bad thing? That's like saying, if you think being a good person is bad and I like being a good person, you call me a you fucking good person. I'd be like, okay, yeah, thanks.
Right.
It's not a bad thing.
So then what bad could come of this?
I don't know.
Could come of people not understanding the words they're using.
Well, I mean, I think you should always understand what words you're using, although I don't most of the time. I like to I like to hear words and then just kind of throw it out and then if
But
it
these are
makes
words
sense.
that you don't want to be throwing around.
Why not?
Because these are words that
It's just a word.
Well, no, Nazi is not just a word.
Okay.
Because by calling someone a Nazi, you're not doing anything to your cause. By
Sure.
saying someone's a Nazi, they're not a Nazi, so they're going to get pissed, and you're never going to have any civil discourse with them at this point forward. Why don't you talk to them properly?
That's fair.
like why argue in the streets screaming and yelling about Nazis? I think that's the alarm.
I think so.
I think that's 10 minutes.
It is.
So why scream and yell about Nazis in the street instead of sitting down and talking? Because if you can use your words to win an argument, you will win that argument every single time. Punching someone in the face only makes them double down.
Yep. And if you can't win your argument with words, you probably don't have that.
You don't have a good argument.
Yeah.
You don't. Maybe you're wrong.
Yeah. Maybe you're right, but you still don't have a good
Or are
argument.
you afraid of them being able to convince you
Sure.
that you're wrong? Don't be afraid of that.
Anyways, thanks for coming.
Come back every single Wednesday.
Do you agree? Do you disagree? Do you like throwing around words you don't use?
Like,
Let us know.
comment, subscribe. Tell me which of the 4 words, Nazi, fascist, communist, or socialist, belong to us. Which would you yell at us while we walk down the street? Maybe yell them if you ever see us walking down the street.
Yell good person at me.
Or call them a good person.
Have a great day.